So welcome to the second day of the open stage. Again, my name is Gustavo Montero. I'm the chairman of Carter Capital. We're crypto asset managers based in Dubai, but with very strong presence in Switzerland and in the UK because of our banking background. And today is going to be a bit of a different day. We're going to speak about SDG and everything that has to do with that area. I guess the microphones are not working very well today. Just on this subject, that we're going to have a conference right now, a panel, it's important to understand the following.
That's right.
While SDG is a very important situation and element in this world, you cannot hear anything? They cannot hear anything. Hello? Say that it's not working? Okay, give me a mic.
Test.
Hello. Is this better? Can you hear me now? Yes? Okay, so what I was saying is that it's important when we speak about SDG to understand that we are in a very strange situation. We've been trying to do this for years, but right now, because of the conditions of this world, we just went back to charcoal. Germany's going back to charcoal. We don't know what's going to happen in this area. And the reality is that developing countries are asking wealthy or rich countries to pay for that change. And I don't think that the developing world is ready to pay for that yet. That is a reality we all need to live with. That's going to be an interesting topic in this discussion. I've been involved in this field for many years because I was the director of the Rio Summit 30 years ago. So this is a field I know very, very well. I'm very interested in understanding what they're going to say. The panel is called Social Impact and SDG, Setting Pace for a Better Future. The moderator is Maral Nouri, Managing Director of Luna PR. And I would like Maral, you introduce your panel. That's a better thing to do. All right? Come over.
Okay, hello? Everyone can hear me? Okay, I know we're not in the main stage, so it's hard to hear everyone, but we're gonna try to make this as fun as possible. So I'll stand then. So my name is Maral Nouri. Super excited to be here. I'm the moderator for this panel. Like Gustavo mentioned, we're gonna be talking about social impact and SDGs. Really looking forward to the experts giving their key opinions and insight on this topic. So just a little bit about me. I'm the COO of Luna Media Corporation. We have a lot under our umbrella. So we have Luna PR. Luna PR is our Web3 award-winning PR and marketing agency based here in Dubai. We recently acquired Cointelegraph Middle East. And as of a couple weeks ago, our CEO, Nikita Sachdev, became the host of CNBC Arabia's crypto Web3 show called On the Chain. So I'd love my panelists to come on and introduce themselves. Amazing. So thank you so much for joining, guys. Really looking forward to this discussion. Maybe Dr. Jane, you can start by introducing yourself.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks very much, and it's great to be here with you. I just wanted to tell you that I'm on this panel for a startup called 1,000 Faces, so I'm going to particularly want to talk to you about that. But I've been in blockchain and social impact since 2017. I've written numerous articles, books, and speak until people don't want to listen to me anymore. And I'm helping a whole range of startups in social impact all around the world. Thank you.
Amazing.
I'm Noman Shah. I represent here Xero Tech. It's our startup. We are building a metaverse based on blockchain. I have experience in social protection, and we have some innovative things we did. I'll share that experience with everyone. Thank you.
My name is Pedro Rivera, community builder, blockchain investor, educator, advocate, co-founder of Waterfall Protocol, blockchainhighschool.com, as well as Crypto Mondays and Limitless conferences. I guess as far as the SDG goes, I would say that I represent the indigenous people. As recently as we've been in contact with some of the 4 ancestral tribes, the indigenous people of all of our humanity. And let's just say I got a beautiful message to share from them.
Nice. My name is Jay Abbasi. I have been an investor within the space since about 2017. Currently, our focus is on creating financial inclusivity across the world, and I'm a founding member or one of the founders of Xero Finance.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the introduction, guys. Guys, just to mention, if you can just keep your voices down a little bit and be a little considerate for the panel that we're going to get started, we would really appreciate that. So thank you so much. So to get started, I would love to actually dive right deep into SDGs, because I'm sure quite a few of the audience members might not know what that even means. So if we can kind of get into that and talk about, financial inclusion and what the UN is doing, I think that'd be a really good topic to discuss. Jay, if you want to get started on your end.
Sure. I think financial inclusivity and looking at the 17 factors that the UN puts out touches about 7 of them, or just short of 50%. Things like eradicating poverty, hunger, well-being, having jobs. All of those things, if you think about it, are super, super important, because what happens is if you are a farmer in some place like Brazil and you have a choice between, let's say, cutting down the rainforest or doing something else, you have to have financial inclusivity to make that choice, to be able to not do that. To give you just a couple of stats, which are really kind of unbelievable, about 20 to 30% of the world's population does not have access to probably the banking facilities, the credit facilities that we in this room think are common. That's almost 2 billion people. And that's across either developed or undeveloped countries. And to give an example, if we can include those people, we would reduce hunger, we would create about 95 million jobs in the world, and we would increase the global GDP by about 6%, which is kind of amazing. And that's just by creating financial inclusivity and allowing people to get above the poverty level across the world.
Amazing. I don't think people realize what that 6% actually means. Dr. Jane, you look like you agreed with Jay. Maybe you want to give an input?
Yeah, look, I'd love to. So the Sustainable Development Goals, all of our countries have signed on to them, and they're basically a framework that's been developed by all of the different countries in the world about what we need to do to make the world a better, more equitable, inclusive place. So we've heard about financial inclusion, but it includes health, it includes no poverty, it includes healthy cities, it includes climate change. There's so many different sustainable development goals. But I think the point that's most relevant to this conversation is that we're probably not going to achieve them anyway, but we're definitely not going to achieve them unless we deploy technology at scale. So tech for sustainability is a really important conversation.
Yeah, I can imagine. So we run a PR and marketing agency, and yet till today, we've not had too many sustainability clients come through. And I think we're just kind of getting started in this industry, in the Web3 space at least, or at least it's coming to the table. And from a press perspective, hopefully we're going to start pushing it out even more.
I've got to answer that because, we're pushing it out. We've got a hackathon coming up on the 24th and 25th of September for Tech for Sustainability with the Youth Hub. We've got a launch of a Tech for Sustainability Association on the 26th, and we're going to try and bring all the players together, so please come.
Oh, amazing. We'll definitely be there. So with crypto and even NFT space and all that, the community members are quite young, and our generation tapping into sustainability, it's not that it's dry, it's an incredible thing, but having these kind of hackathons and events for the younger generations to come and step up and learn more is really good. So I would like to talk about the elephant in the room, which is the Ethereum merge. So definitely the Ethereum merge is happening because we're going to be tapping into sustainability, lessening the impact of what's going on, because the mining process is going to be different. But how can not even Ethereum, but crypto in general, actually contribute to sustainability, not just lessen that impact? If any of you want to go ahead and answer that.
Let someone else answer, but I'm happy to answer if they don't.
Yeah, so I don't necessarily think that the merge is going to necessarily focus on sustainability in itself. It claims to be more efficient. It's yet to be proven. We'll see. The Ethereum boys, most of them are based out of Puerto Rico. I happen to be good friends with a lot of the Ethereum Alliance consensus guys. But at the end of the day, the thing about our industry is they're not the only ones that are focused on that problem, right? So they'll put forth the protocol, and you'll have other people that have other opportunities to make them more efficient and make them more sustainable. But I want to touch back a little bit a second ago to what Dr. James was talking about in terms of these sustainability goals themselves, and how do we come up with the data for these goals, and how do we come up with the actual problems before we get to the solutions. And I think a problem that continuously arises when we talk about solutions for all the people is we're not including all of the people when we're coming up with the problems themselves. And a lot of times I find myself, especially in our industry, being one of the only people of my color, my people, and even anything a shade darker than me. So a lot of times when we're talking about the how can we come up with the solutions for all of people, then we have to include all of people so we can understand what the problems are. I, for one, live in Puerto Rico, and constantly, time and time again, over the course of the past 500 years, we've always had people come from outside to tell us about the solutions that they have for us without understanding the problems that persist within our society. So to include the actual, to get to the solution, you have to have the actual problems themselves, and you have to have the problems from the people that are being afflicted by these problems. And that's step number one, is have the right data.
Amazing.
I couldn't agree more, and thanks for raising that point. Just quickly on the carbon footprint of Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're the two main culprits, if you like, in blockchain. The Ethereum merge is hopefully going to change the way they do their consensus mechanism, so reduce the energy consumption. But we now have all of these other green blockchains coming up, Algorand, Solana, Celo, and others, so that if you want to go and build on a kind of net zero blockchain, you can. And plus, the Bitcoin miners are finding renewable energy means to be able to power themselves and do all sorts of other things. But the reality is digitalization, not just blockchain, creates a big energy footprint. So we need not separate the conversation about blockchain and not look at the whole impact of digitalization on emissions.
Yeah, that makes sense. So how can financial inclusion mitigate climate shock? I know it's a bit of a loaded question, but
I'm sorry, could you repeat that question again?
Yeah, so when you look at financial inclusion, how can it mitigate climate shock?
I don't think the two correlate whatsoever. I think they're not one and the same. I think they could potentially have some maybe collateral damage from one towards the other, but I don't think they're necessarily the same impact on one themselves. And again, I'll reiterate, I don't think it's one company's particular position to solve all this all at once. I think sometimes you'll have maybe like a company like Ethereum that may cause more of a problem with, say, the energy sustainability, but yet it creates a ton of solutions, a ton of opportunities for other companies to come in and create those solutions off the behemoth of the industry that is created with smart contracts and Ethereum. So I mean, on one hand, you create more and more issues, but at the same time, it creates more opportunities. And we have a lot of smart people in our space that work on it all together. And I think that ultimately the energy usage and the sustainability of, say, for the mining pools in crypto, overall, I think that in itself has been proven time again that it's actually less destructive of our planet than, say, what takes place in the current modern day financial system. And I think that's something that's overlooked. I think that ultimately the financial services industry understands that. So they put a lot of highlight on the information and data that suggests that crypto is a lot more harmful to the environment. But I think overall, the mining industry in itself, the energy sector, we happen to be involved in a couple of big projects themselves. Right now, crypto projects are paying less than 1 cent per kilowatt, on average in the industrial side of mining. So when you look at that, and you compare it to other industries, it's really not that energy intensive as people claim.
Thank you, Pedro. And go ahead, Jay.
I think to add on to what Pedro was saying, there's so much that DeFi protocols can do to promote financial inclusivity. For example, right now, when we're talking about that 30% of the population in the world, what happens is, let's say there's an emergency somewhere. Let's even take numbers from the United States. You could take them from Brazil, you could take them from Romania, you could take them from the UK. But if somebody has a $400 emergency, what happens is they get trapped into a cycle of debt by going to payday lenders and different things like that. And the reason why this is super important is that all the studies using an MMG model have showed that when you can allow financial inclusivity for individuals and take them off that cycle of debt, what you have from a carbon emissions perspective, even if you do it in an emerging market, is a U shape, and it's an inverted U shape. So what happens is, as people become more financially included and get above the poverty level, their CO2 emissions actually increase. But they then stabilize and go down the longer they maintain it. So that's been seen in microfinance in places like India, for example, where people were using rickshaws or motor rickshaws and then are able to get loans to be able to get e-rickshaws, which actually then gives them a better life and includes and brings down carbon emissions. So financial inclusivity, and why it's such a part across SDG, is because you cannot have all of the things that you want. You cannot have zero poverty. You cannot have health and wellness. You cannot have reduced hunger without creating financial inclusivity. And what we really need to do is take out this whole almost loan shark type industry that charges on average 300% in the US for loans, 500% in Brazil, and 1,000% in Romania. If we can fix that problem, we can help people go on to the next step, which will actually globally reduce carbon emissions.
Go ahead.
I just want to add, sorry, please, you haven't had a chance to say anything. I just wanted to add, because your question was about climate, and we haven't really spoken about Web3, but just the Web3, this idea of an exchange of value is going to enable us to reward the people who produce the carbon offsets and the carbon credits properly. So the people who are the custodians of the Amazon forest, the regenerative farmers in India, we're going to be able to reward them and pay them properly for what they're doing for the planet. And that's why, blockchain is so democratizing, and Web3 is going to enable that exchange of value. So we're starting to see a number of projects doing that.
The carbon credits are a joke. The only people that benefit from the carbon credits are the actual corporations that are actually damaging the environment, because they have the actual tax hits and liabilities large enough to take advantage of those carbon credits. So, in Puerto Rico, it's a dirty little secret. You got one guy who's got the carbon credits, you got the other guy who's got the actual company needs the tax hits, and it's like, it's the same people at the end of the day. So, they're not really being incentivized to actually do better. There's a couple of things, right, through incentivization, and actually, our industry's been through several cycles, right? And every time there was a new cycle, it was a new advancement in technology. The first cycle was obviously Ethereum with the smart contracts, 2017. Second cycle was, probably 2021 with DeFi. The next cycle will probably be the free to earn, play to earn market, and learn to earn, right? And a lot of that will take place with NFTs and a lot of the incumbent of, actual applications that will incentivize people to actually do different various activities for the environment and also for their communities in a variety of ways that actually monetize their attention in a lot better ways than we're currently doing. Now, maybe that creates a little bit more strain on the power grid, as you mentioned, as people become more financially inclusive, become more active in technology. They also put a burden on more of consumption and a variety of things they use. But again, the back end of that, you'll have more productive people and more people providing other solutions on the other end of it. So I think the free to earn and play to earn market will be huge in financial inclusion markets, where it's like people are making less than $2 a day, for them to make $10 a day playing a game where they, learn how to plant trees or actually take care of garbage in their neighborhood or clean the river. In a lot of places in third world countries where the rivers are filthy, if they fill trash and so on and so forth. I know a variety of different projects that are working on these type of applications. And I can imagine that's going to spring forward our industry in the next wave, in the next cycle.
Yeah, I totally agree. Go ahead, Noman, you want to say something?
I would like to share two innovations in this regard that we have done. One is air purification, and the other one is water purification. And we are going to incentivize those who install these both equipment and provide this for the masses, for the cleaning and of the air and the cleaning of water. They will be rewarded with the token. And with that token, they can buy their groceries, etc.
That's awesome. That's a fantastic use case when it comes to, looking at SDGs and then tapping it into Web3 and allowing typical consumers to somehow get involved in both industries, which is amazing. So recently, I was reading an article about venture capital firms. Back in 2021, they invested around 33 billion, and now at this point, it's almost double that. We're coming to almost double. So I wanted to know how we can relay that financial power towards sustainable developments and towards sustainability. I know we're talking a lot about sustainability at the moment, and we'll tap more into Web3. But if you have a way to even incorporate that, you can go ahead.
I can't hear you. I swear I can't. I can't hear you at all.
Okay, Jane, you could hear me, Dr. Jane.
I mean,
Okay,
if
maybe you
ask the
can
question.
reiterate it, and then they can hear you.
No, it's just, I don't know. Can the audience hear?
Probably not.
I think the
Okay, we
audience can
just
hear
can't
because
hear
the
each
mic
other.
is heading that way.
Yeah.
We don't got a sound guy. We're just up here.
Okay,
Okay,
so
what was the question?
I was. Can you hear if I talk louder?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, I was saying that venture capital firms, 2021, they invested around 33 bill. In 2022, we're almost double that at this point. So I wanted to know, when they look at the inclusion of the money and everything going on, how much is actually contributing towards sustainable development and sustainability as a whole?
Not much. Again, venture capital especially, their only focus is on returns, right? So you don't invest in a VC fund thinking about sustainability. You invest in a VC fund because you're thinking about getting money. There's not enough sustainability of VC funds, and at the end of the day, there's not enough quality projects that actually offer an actual business model that would be worth investing from a venture capital perspective. I think that's the wrong way to go with sustainability goals. I think you have some opportunity in some areas, but I think overall they need to be incentivized. They need to be incentivized through a variety of different ways, and through different governments and big scale organizations that actually, could actually partner together to get things done. But yeah, it's not an easy business model when you're talking about SDGs altogether. There's a reason why they offer so much funding for them.
No, and I agree with that, but I want to add to you that the incentives in the venture capital models now are wrong. They're broken. We must know that from the pandemic. We have to look after people and we have to look after the planet. We can't just look after profits. So we need to find different ways for the metrics of the value of investment, and we have to find different ways to incentivize people to invest in sustainability. And I'm just going to take my chance to talk about 1,000 Faces, which is a startup that I'm helping, because what they've picked up on is not only is the VC model broken, but very little of it goes to women. So they've got a project which is really around creating a token economy and an investment opportunity for women, but they're also focusing on being green, so it's going to be built on a green blockchain, and supporting artists, so it's going to have 1,000 Faces represents 1,000 NFTs. But underpinning this is a desire to create investment opportunities for women who want to do startups. So I think what we're going to see is new models of investment coming out of the Web3 community that allow communities to form and invest in the furtherance of the area that they're interested in. And my son's actually working on this at the moment. He's also in venture studios and so forth. They find communities. The one he's working with, which is a bit funny, is Sept, but actually there's a lot of people who work in that area and there's a lot of opportunity. So bringing them together again into a token economy where they can invest, where they can do due diligence, where they can help grow that community. There's going to be a future of the way that investment takes place through communities.
That's incredible. And to be fair, that kind of taps into one of the 17 SDGs, which is gender equality. So that's awesome.
You can have the fund that have a particular product or vehicle that can invest, altogether. But if you don't have the deal flow, it's not going to work, right? So ultimately, and I know this because we get all the deal flow in Puerto Rico. Like bottom line, the variety of the funds that we have there between us and all the angel investors. There's just really not. There's just not enough there for a fund really to exist, because we've debated going back and forth on it several times. At the end of the day, the ecosystem itself has to mature, and you can see that in the same regards in a lot of other places, say that lack startup culture, right? It's like it's easy to say, okay, cool, like you just need to establish a fund, and all of a sudden you're gonna have a bunch of quality projects to invest in the area. Just because you have a fund now that invests in startups, but that's just not how it works. You have to, it's going to take a process of, ultimately some startups that actually come there, get established, go through the ringer, and then other startups slowly but surely grow. Well, it's the same concept with the SDGs, right? And the SDG projects. They themselves have to go through a few cycles themselves before you start to get quality projects where it'd be worth investing in. If not, the funds, they're just basically throwing their money away.
But the good news is the Sustainability City here in Dubai is going to start a Tech for Sustainability Incubator Accelerator program out there. So what we need is
that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
it takes a
exactly.
government like Dubai to, foot the bill, right, and say, hey, we're going to call for a bunch of capital to go ahead and get this initiative going, and we're going to, go ahead and put out there a bunch of capital to invite these people, give them resources. We know that we're not going to really get too much out of it the first few rounds, but ultimately, once it turns over, then we'll start producing quality projects, and that's what it takes. But, without that, it's not possible.
I think adding on to what they're saying, when you talk about gender equality and those types of things, they have clearly been impacted by items like micro-lending in different areas, especially across Africa or developing markets. But I agree with them. There's a lot to be desired out of the current venture system. However, the reason why we're all a little bit in DeFi or trying to do this is because we believe that we can democratize this or make a difference. We believe that if you have a DeFi ESG credit hedge fund, that we might be able to help people or include financial inclusivity or make a difference. And so I think that where I come back, I'm maybe a little more optimistic because I believe at the end of the day we'll get there, but maybe that's Pollyanna-ship me or something, but I think we'll get there.
DeFi proved itself on the last market crash. Everything that crashed in the last market cycle was related towards all centralized platforms. So anyone who doesn't have any confidence in DeFi isn't sure what DeFi is and isn't understanding how it works. All DeFi platforms work exactly as promised.
Go ahead, Noman.
I think as compared to the VCs, when we go for the ICOs, there can be a component of like sustainability. And while running our campaigns in the ICO, we can have the compassion and sentiments of whoever is putting their money for our startup. And there can be like a sustainable goal that we are beating. So this is a doable thing as compared to the VCs.
Interesting, very interesting. So, Dr. Jain, you spoke about Dubai and specifically, and I do actually want to tap into the UAE as a whole. I think they put an announcement out that they were actually the first in the MENA to pledge to reach net zero by 2050. So I want to know, how does Web3 play a role in all of this, or will it?
Well, I think that it's going to have to, and I think the big incentive for UAE is that it's got the big climate conference next year. So it's going to need to and want to be able to demonstrate some significant investments. And then plus, if you put that together with their Metaverse strategy, I mean, Metaverse is essentially immersive Web3. So I think we're going to expect and hope to see a whole range of new projects coming up, but particularly around the area of sustainability. So people who are in the sustainability community also have a responsibility to share and educate people on the way that Web3 can actually contribute to sustainability, whether it's in climate, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in gender equality, whether it's in financial inclusion, whether it's in education, which is going to be a huge aspect of Web3. And, Pedro spoke about all the play to earn, learn to earn, and all of these games, which is going to provide opportunities for income for people that they never had before. And the Middle East is, GCC is sitting in the middle of some of the poorest populations in the world. So the opportunity to build from here and influence out is huge.
Yeah, amazing. I agree. Anyone else have an... Oh, we're good. Okay, so then based on that, do you guys think the Metaverse will be sustainable?
Yeah, definitely. This is the Metaverse is game changer as far as SDGs are concerned.
This is the Metaverse.
Because in all the 17 SDGs, starting from like generational poverty to the health, to the education, to the environment, to the economy, the skill development, everything. We have been through the pandemic and we have seen the benefits of people remaining at their homes, working from their homes. And the most polluted cities, we have observed that these are like clean air, and we also see that there are less cars on the roads. So whenever we are going to wear the VR goggles, and we are providing the education remotely with more better experience, with less expense on delivering the education and experience through the virtual objects, virtual labs, simulations. So this is the game changer. I believe that while we are talking about that, it will be in 10 years, it will be a $10 trillion economy. I believe it will be the biggest economy in the world in 10 to 15 years because of this thing. Because it costs less and it produces less carbon footprint, and it contributes and gives more to the society.
Go ahead, Pedro.
Yeah. So the question is, the metaverse, can it be sustainable? No, the metaverse is not going to be sustainable. It's going to engulf everything around you, everything above you, everything beneath you, and everything you can see and then some. It's going to create all the kinds of worlds for all kind of people. The overwhelming majority of people you see in this world are self-conscious, and the metaverse gives you an opportunity to be somebody that you're not. So this is a very easy fix for a lot of people. Also, it gives people the opportunity to live life, drive cars, fly planes. Be tall, be short, be attractive, be ugly, be a monster. It gives people endless opportunities to do other things with their lives, and as it becomes more and more efficient and proficient and easier to interact with, you'll see it, almost naturally. So there's of course, it's not only going to be sustainable, it's going to continue to grow. It's just getting started, and we're going to see every single thing that you see in the real world in the metaverse, with the limitless opportunities that imaginary worlds present to the physical things and the attributes to the things that we see today and enjoy. So, the metaverse is just getting started, and at the end of the day, it's just really virtual environments, and the ability to produce these virtual environments is companies like Unreal, start to give you these kind of abilities through AI generated worlds, just by you giving descriptions of what you want to see, and AI generated art. The future is going to be amazing in terms of like how many times, if I'm not a creative person, right? I can't paint, I can't draw. I'm not very much into graphic arts, but I've done a lot of projects, right? So I have a lot of people design stuff for me. I can't tell you how many times that I've told the artist what I wanted, but they designed something that's not exactly what I'm saying. Well, now with these AI generated, art, you can basically say what you want, and the AI can draw it for you faster than your designers can. And as that starts to be implicated in metaverses and virtual environments, people are going to be creating worlds just as they speak.
I think.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think as far as the sustainability, and the one thing that if we can realize this technology, and we always have a tendency to think technology is going to get here sooner than it does, but as we realize it, we might actually all be able to sit, let's say, wherever we came from, and reduce the carbon footprint by really having an interactive, immersive experience in the metaverse. That's probably a far way out, but the reality is it could impact sustainability by reducing things like travel, needs to go to stores, how you deliver items. So there's some possibilities there, but those possibilities are probably so far out that it really can't impact sustainability today.
I just wanted to make 3 points. The first one is thinking about an inclusive metaverse, because to be an inclusive metaverse means that someone's actually going to have to nail how to make an immersive environment using mobile technology, because the majority of people in the world aren't going to be able to have Oculus goggles or any of this other fancy infrastructure that a lot of the metaverses are currently relying on. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, and I think it's to your point, is that there are a load of really important possibilities with the metaverse in things like health and education, the ability in healthcare to be able to have global collaboration without travelling through your avatars in virtual spaces, the ability to educate medical students inside the body, being able to conduct operations as if they're the surgeon but never kill the patient because they're working on a digital twin. The ability to allow surgeons to have virtual reality images of the exact body of their patients as they're operating on them so they can be very precise in the medicine. And in the area of health and wellness, we're already seeing exercise to earn games and things like that, and addressing issues like obesity, mental health, people who are socially isolated and can't go out, old people, mentally ill people, people who've got disabilities. They can be in the metaverse having an experience. But the final point that I wanted to make is it's not all roses. All of the kind of ethical problems that we see now with the internet and worrying about, what happens to our rights and our privacy and our children are going to be multiplied many times. So there's a lot of things we have to think about so that we build a metaverse that is safe and inclusive and protects people's privacy.
I would like to share my experience. Thank you very much for pointing out regarding the health and medical. There are two innovations that we did, and it was outcome of my own experience. In 2015, my baby has to be born. My wife was hospitalized, and I visited her, and she was crying. I thought she's crying out of pain, and she said no, because I have clamps on my arms. I cannot move, and the room is is chilly. I am shivering since hours. Nobody visited here. And then I came up with the idea that we should be able to control the things just by looking at that. And then we're using Vuzix augmented reality goggles. We made that happen. Using IoT and augmented reality, we can just look at any IoT connected device. We can switch it on and off. So this is one example of using, at that time Metaverse was not a buzzword, but augmented reality was there. The second is we also developed something for the paralyzed patients. When we do the physiotherapy, sometimes the physiotherapists tell them the exercise, but they cannot monitor their how they are improving. It's like a small micrometer or millimeter improvement on the daily basis, and also which exercise is working more. So we did it with Kinect, and then we converted the technology to Oculus, and now they can have the choice of exercises, and then through Kinect, their physiotherapists remotely can monitor their daily progress and suggest them the new exercises. So it's not only the virtual reality, it's in the real world, the augmented reality, the XR, everywhere and connected with IoT and AI. So all these are the enabling technologies for the metaverse.
Incredible, awesome. Again, great use cases, Noman, that's awesome. So yeah, we can definitely see that. I think SDGs actually work very close with the metaverse because from the 17, I can list a good 10 of them at least that are going to be relevant over time, which is really exciting. So we're just about to wrap everything up here, but I wanted to know from you guys if there was any last words you want to say to the audience, or maybe if some of the audience members had questions, open to either or.
Well, look, I'd just like to encourage, starting from what Pedro was talking about, how you build an ecosystem around blockchain or tech for sustainability. Just encourage any of you who are interested in it to get involved, join the hackathon, be a mentor, come to our event and start trying to build out that community starting here, but building it out because we have tremendous exclusion in the world, whether it's access to electricity or identities or financial inclusion. And we all need to work together to do that. So I think the tech community is ideal to be able to really drive a focus on sustainability. And I encourage people to get involved and think about how you can do that. And all of these gaming companies here, you can build us wonderful games, wonderful metaverses that enable and activate people to do things for sustainability. So we've got it all here. We just have to do it.
I would like to add, thank you, that we are good people here. all of us, and we are startups. We are like venture capitalists, angel investors. Uh, Adding to this, that she said that we should build a community to give back to the Mother Earth, to the contribute to the SDGs. If nobody else is doing it, we should do it. Every startup has some innovation. That innovation for the commercial aspect and financial gain, they're doing it. But if they can, one part of this, they can make it available for the sustainability, for the contribution to the SDGs. This will be a huge contribution because there are so many startups and so many funds out there. So this is my suggestion, and we have done this before with the ICANN and UN Internet Council. Adding to your other thing regarding the privacy and the kids, we did this before. We took this to the UN Internet Council in 2009-10 that there should be safer internet for the kids and minors. And as in Metaverse, this will be multifold. Now, mother or parents, they can monitor what their kids are looking at their tab or like smartphone. But when they're wearing VR goggles, nobody knows what they're doing. So there should be like a consortium, a mechanism, a council, or any gathering of good people, and they should devise the mechanism how to deal with this. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for your insight. And Pedro or Jay, any last input?
Yeah, I'm never in favor of regulation. Regulation, in my opinion, always stifles innovation. However, at some point, I'd imagine, a lot of these SDG type initiatives will have some basis in, major protocols based code layer in terms of how the blocks are being produced and so on and so forth, in terms of what the standard would be for protocols to be actually deployed. I don't think that necessarily has to happen from a regulation perspective. I believe we in the industry can figure out ways to implement that. And even if you do implement it with a regulatory perspective in certain markets, entrepreneurs such as myself, who are from way off in yonder, will come to places like these and find more favorable regulatory bodies and still go ahead and do things anyway. So I just I think that the industry in itself, I don't think we're really mature enough to meet any of the SDG demands. However, I do look forward to the future in terms of where we can become more one and the same with things that can produce, aspects of, maybe a universal basic income that can in turn kind of help facilitate a lot of the poverty initiative driven goals. But aside from that, I don't see the two correlating one and the same.
I would just say that on top of what Pedro said and Dr. Thomas, nobody here, if you think about it, even 5-10 years ago would have thought you'd be in this room right now talking about the types of things that innovated DeFi or Learn to Play or the different things that Pedro was talking about earlier. And we do have an ability to make a difference as we focus on these projects. Some of these goals are really lofty, but there have been really lofty goals that we've been able to meet. And I think we can look for things like net neutrality in our carbon use. And I do believe that we can get financial inclusivity and other items across the world.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, all of you guys. Amazing panelists. Feel free to reach out to any of us here at the conference. I'm sure all the panelists are happy to answer any questions. And yeah, thank you guys.